Hi folks, Jacob here. Sorry about him. Google has finally unveiled Google Stadia, its long-awaited, oft-rumoured game streaming service, and Dave's taking it pretty badly. Something about it being the end times for hardware journalists?
Yeah, it's great. Very pleased about it.
Can tell. Through the power of Google's tremendous and far-reaching server might, you'll be able to stream a library of the latest and greatest games direct to any of your Google devices. Even a Diddy Chromecast will be able to beam the very latest AAA games direct to your fingertips with Stadia.
Yeah, what about that isn't terrifying for a PC games journalist?
Well, streaming still has a lot to prove, and it might not be the death of gaming towers just yet.
Fingers crossed. Google isn't the first company to pursue game streaming, and it definitely won't be the last either, but it is the only one to launch with such pomp and circumstance that it has caught the public eye like nothing before it.
Nvidia has been offering a similar service for years, GeForce Now, and despite its 300,000 monthly users, it's not quite made the splash that Stadia has.
But when Nvidia believes that game streaming could be a billion gamer opportunity, you can see why Google, Microsoft, Sony and hundreds of other startups are all fighting for a piece of the streaming pie.
With an addressable market of over 2 billion users, Google is in a mighty advantageous position to hoover up that market share for itself. And that's going to put pressure on console manufacturers, Microsoft and Sony most of all.
And that's because Stadia takes hardware out of gamers' hands and puts the onus on Google's data center to keep up with the latest tech.
Packed into Google's server racks is custom AMD GPU and Intel CPU tech, with the potential to scale up to 4K 60 FPS. Google has even promised 8K 120 FPS in the future.
That's quite a promise. With flexibility afforded to it by the cloud, we can expect Stadia's requirements, specs and the gaming experience it offers to change and adapt over time.
But there's still some question marks surrounding Google's service and game streaming as a concept.
There is still a little life left in your gaming rig yet, as Google won't be moving in for the kill until later on this year. Google plans on launching Stadia in the US, UK, Canada and most of Europe sometime in 2019.
With E3 only a couple of months away, it feels like the colossal gaming show would be the perfect opportunity for Google to shed some light on which developers are signed up for Stadia. It was already stated that it will be unveiling more details about the business model and cost in the summer.
We already know that Doom Eternal will be available to play on the service come launch, as it's a native Vulkan title, and that makes complete sense.
Ubisoft will also be wholeheartedly embracing Stadia, considering Yves Guillemot's guest appearance at the GDC announcement and Assassin's Creed Odyssey's role as streaming guinea pig.
Developer Tequila Works from Rime, Deadlight and the Sexy Brutal fame will also be backing the service.
Google has also set up Stadia Games and Entertainment, a first-party studio, which kind of sounds like a casino and strip club joint, to reimagine the new generation of games, and conveniently netting itself some exclusive without twisting anyone's arm too.
Google has promised further game announcements will also be made later on this year.
But there's still some ways to go before it supplants the some 30,000 games on Steam in 2019.
Granted, most of them are visual novels or pornography.
Do you love them visual novels?
Yep.
Google has licensed the brilliant minds behind Radeon to create the physical graphics hardware necessary for its streaming platform.
The company, headed by Dr. Lisa Su, has an unflappable reputation for delivering the best console tech, and its burgeoning semi-custom division is responsible for the graphics and processing power of both the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro.
But while AMD Crossfire is holding on to relevance in the consumer GPU world by just its pinky finger, Google has touted the ability to dynamically shift GPUs to and fro within its data center to match a user's requirements. There's definitely some magic going on behind closed doors there.
Yeah, it's all wizards. With no single GPU today capable of 8K at 60 FPS, it's crucial that Google can scale beyond today's hardware limitations, if it's to make good on its promises. It seems confident that its multi-GPU approach is up for the task, showing off its seamless operation during the GDC announcement.
AMD has confirmed the custom CPUs within Stadia are not manufactured by the Red Team, and that realistically leaves just one x86 manufacturer in the running, Intel.
Yeah, sorry VIA fans.
Yet the only trace of Intel during Google's announcement was the mention of hyperthreading, Intel's proprietary simultaneous multi-threading feature. Aside from that tacit mention, Intel's name is notably missing from Google's partners.
Weird that. Nothing tops the good old mouse and keyboard, and luckily you can keep on using your favourite rodent and mechanical combo connected up to your PC with Stadia.
But if you are tempted by a little couch co-op, then Google has put together the Stadia controller, and local multiplayer may well be back thanks to streaming tech.
The Stadia controller we know a little bit more about, as it was exposed in a patent application earlier this month.
For the most part, the design is a simple one. All the usual bells and whistles are present, but it's worth noting that it follows Sony's lead with thumbsticks parallel to one another, which may come as a bit of a shock to y'all that prefer Microsoft's offset ergonomics.
Gross. But again, borrowing some design notes from Sony, the Stadia controller features a capture button, similar to the DualShock 4's share button. This button allows you to share your best gaming moments to YouTube, bypassing upload times or bit rates, as Google servers will offload all that direct from their top-notch network.
Next to that, a button for Google Assistant so that you can chat to the hive mind.
The main draw of the Stadia controller, however, is that it will utilise direct Wi-Fi connection to Google's cloud servers. It's essentially a streaming client like any other Google device, the benefit being that the direct connection will minimise latency and make for hassle-free connectivity and swapping between devices.
But Stadia is a little more open than its console competitors, and you can also plug and play with your controller of choice on compatible devices.
Stadia needs to offer convincing performance to persuade gamers to give up physical hardware in favour of a cloud streaming service. It's hoping its plans for 8K and 120 FPS or more will be enough to win over the hearts and minds of most gamers.
We have reached a point, as proven by streaming services we've tested personally, such as Blade's Shadow, that streaming is a viable experience, if not a temperamental one.
But streaming is still yet to match local hardware in terms of fidelity or latency. But streaming is still yet to match local hardware in terms of fidelity or latency, and Google's encoder reportedly still has some ways to go before it will match the very best graphics silicon on a local machine.
With a 25 megabit per second connection required for 1080p streaming and up, and a particularly swift connection prerequisite for 4K, Stadia will be waiting on global infrastructure to catch up before it can really make a dent in the console and PC markets.
And let's not forget esports. While latency is relatively on par with that of an Xbox One X in a best case scenario, if not a little bit greater, a PC is far and away the lowest latency machine around.
So will your PC become just a husk of its former self, little more than a host for a parasitic cloud gaming service?
Maybe. One day. But there's still a long way to go before cloud gaming is accessible to everyone or as good as a local machine.
Let us know what you think about Stadia in the comments below. While you're there, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that bell for the latest vids direct to your feed.
Yeah, and check back on PCGamesN.com for more. We'd love to have you.
Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Yeah. We're not made redundant.
Maybe.
Streaming.
Streaming.
It's the end of us all.
It's over.